Hi, this is going to be a video unboxing look at the cards for the Lord of the Rings expansion pack, the Hills of Emyn Muil. There's not been a video on this on Board Game Geek. Maybe that's because of how difficult it is to pronounce. I had to ask my Tolkien expert friend. So if that's wrong, I apologise. But let's look at the expansion. I'm only going to look at the player cards. So those people concerned with spoilers about quests, about the quest in the box, that's not going to come up. So you can have a look at these, and personally I always like to look at the player cards before I get an expansion. It just gets me excited when it's in the post. So start off by looking at the new hero that comes in the pack, and this is Brand, son of Bain. There's been a lot of talk on Board Game Geek about the illustration here. I'm fine with it, but the actual card itself, he's got, as you can see, 2 willpower, 3 attack, 2 defense, 3 hit points, and a starting threat of 10. He's got good all-round stats, except for his hit points, but it's his ranged and his ability on his card, which is a response after Brand, son of Bain, attacks and defeats an enemy engaged with another player. Choose and ready one of that player's characters. This makes him practically not worth taking in solo decks. Which I know for a lot of people is almost like the primary way they play the game. Personally, I play it with one other person, sometimes we even play 3-player, so Brand really pays his way. The ranged keyword is fantastic with 2 or more people, and that ability, if used with the right party, with the right other parties, is excellent. Because you use that with someone like Beravor or Denethor, and you can either be using Beravor or Beravor's power twice in a turn, so that's 2 players drawing 2 cards each, or she can do something and use her power. I mean, he's got a strong attack. I mean, the strongest attack of any starting hero that we've seen so far at this point is 3. He's got that. He pairs really nicely with Legolas because between the 2 of them they can project 6 attack, which apart from the big enemies in a given quest can take out most enemies in a single volley, and then you're getting Brand's ability to ready another one of that player's characters and Legolas's quest progression, so that works really nicely. But as I say, in solo decks I can't see him being used very much. The all-round stats are almost a bit of a waste because you're going to want to use him in attack to get the benefit. So the fact that he has a good willpower and a good defense, it's a bonus, but whenever he's been played, we never seem to use him for anything other than attacking. So, but a really good extra hero if you play with 2 or more people. Right then, the first new card in the deck is a leadership one, an event called Rearguard, and Rearguard says, costs 1. Quest action, discard a leadership ally to give each hero committed to this quest +1 willpower until the end of the phase. Again, this is another one that really benefits larger groups. If you're playing solo, you've got 3 heroes, you discard an ally, that's going to be, and let's say you send every hero, that's going to be +3 willpower. It's pretty good. When we play 2-player, or even 3-player, and you can discard 1 ally to give every hero +1, you're looking at a potential for a lot more than +3. This is really effective in a later expansion pack, where willpower really plays a large part. It's good if you've got those cheap leadership allies like Snowborn Scouts, but to be honest, it's not something that finds its way into our decks too much, because there are other, as you'll see later, uses for discarding allies. So not a bad card, but not one that our group's really raved about. The second leadership card is the Keen-Eyed Took, an ally. It costs 2, only 1 willpower, 0 attack, 0 defense, and 2 hit points. So, and his abilities is actually really interesting. Response, after the Keen-Eyed Took enters play, reveal the top card of each player's deck. Now, we could be doing this wrong, but we've taken reveal to mean you take your deck, you turn over the top card on the top so that you can see it. You don't get it in your hand or in your playing area, you just see what it is. And this can be a really big bonus for those hero groups that lack a character like Beravor or the lore deck in general, to see more of your deck. You're not drawing the card, but you know what you're going to draw next turn, and that allows you to plan ahead. Also, if it is an event, I don't see any reason that you couldn't, or if it's an ally and you've played the Keen-Eyed Took in the planning phase, I don't see why you couldn't then play the ally that's on top of your deck, possibly. Not sure on that. That might be a rules clarification. But the other part of the Keen-Eyed Took is an action. You can return the Keen-Eyed Took to your hand to discard the top card of each player's deck. Now this is the way, if you turn over that card in your deck and you think, oh god, we don't need another Steward of Gondor, we've already got one out, it's unique. Ah god, my next card draw is going to be a useless card. You put the Keen-Eyed Took back into your hand, and that card is discarded. And then you've skipped some of the cards that aren't quite so helpful in your deck to get to the ones that are better. Of course, if it's a great card, you're not going to be doing that. But that power, the option to put him back into your hand so he leaves play, really combines nicely with Prince Imrahil, I think that's pronounced, from the previous expansion, who gets to ready whenever a character leaves play. So the Keen-Eyed Took can go on can pop out, reveal the top card of every player's deck, go on the quest with his 1 willpower, exhaust, and then, as an action, go back into your hand to discard the top cards, and ready Prince Imrahil, who's a 3 attack, 2 defense, 2 willpower monster. So a really nice addition if you're playing with Prince Imrahil, or the Horn of Gondor. Right then, now it is the Tactics card. The first Tactics card is another new ally. It is an Eagle! Who's surprised? It's an expensive card at 4 cost, especially if you're using a multi-sphere deck, and at this point in the cycle, the Song of Battle isn't yet the song that will allow you to count a character as a Tactics sphere for the purposes of resources, doesn't exist. So it's hard in a multi-sphere deck to get these expensive Tactics allies out. 1 willpower, 2 attack, 1 defense, 2 hit points. It can't have restricted attachments, as is the case with all Eagles. A response after, the Descendant of Thorondor. After the Descendant of Thorondor enters or leaves play, deal 2 damage to any 1 enemy in the staging area. We've not really used this card very much in our group because we've only just gained the Song of Battle, and so we've been staying away from these expensive 4-cost Tactics allies. But direct damage is extremely helpful to ignore the defense on those high defense big enemies. The stats are unimpressive, but that ability, basically, you're going to be doing it twice because the Eagle's going to come out and do it. He's going to leave play for one reason or another, whether he's dead or whatever. You're going to do it again. I'd be really interested to see this used in a leadership deck with sneak attack. Comes out, does 2 damage. End of the phase, goes back into your hand, does 2 damage. Play it again as a full-on ally. The next round does 2 damage. Leads play, does 2 more damage. You're getting 8 damage out for 5 resources, and that's 8 pure damage. That's really impressive. I mean, are you going to sneak attack this instead of a Gandalf? I don't know, but it's another option. But as I say, we haven't really used this card. I think the Eagle cards, every expansion in this cycle makes an Eagle deck more viable. You know, if you just buy the Hunt the Golem, nothing special. By the time you get to the end of the cycle, you can create some really nasty things with Eagles. So this is another one to build to that list. And the other Tactics card, unsurprisingly, is to do with Eagles. It's the event Melidor's Flight. 0 cost. You can't really argue with a 0 cost event. The action is to choose an Eagle ally and return that character to its owner's hand. So if you've got an Eagle in your discard pile, you can pop it back in your hand. Really strong with a later expansion that gives you a 1 cost Eagle ally that discards itself after it's been used. So you can recycle it back in, like a popular tactic that we use in our group with the Snowborn Scouts with Stand and Fight, getting him back out to do his ability. But if you particularly like your Eagles and you've lost an important one, it's a good card. It's 0 cost, so even in a multi-sphere deck, it's easy to afford. Now we're on to the Spirit deck, which is my favourite deck, so I am a bit biased, but the first card is an ally, the Riddermark's Finest. 2 cost, 1 willpower, 1 attack, 0 defense, and 2 hit points. And I should have pointed this out with the eagle, but the eagle's a creature. But this is a creature card. There, thanks to Radagast the Brown, and there's a treachery, I think, in this quest. Slight spoiler that relate in the conflict at the Carrock, which relates to creature cards. So here's one to the Spirit Sphere, and the action on this card. The stats are unimpressive, but the action is really where you pace through. Exhaust and discard the Riddermark's Finest to place 2 progress tokens on any location. Now, obviously that means you're paying 2, and you've got to get rid of the ally to use this ability, but there are so many horrible locations that only have a questing value of 2, and by exhausting and discarding this 2-cost ally, which isn't very much, that's out the staging area. Big nasties like the Necromancer's Pass, which not only is threat 3, but it's got a horrible travel effect. You put this down in the planning stage, exhaust, discard, that's the Necromancer's Reach gone out the staging area, that's 3 threat gone, and a horrible travel effect location out of there. The Great Forest Web. Exhaust a character to travel here. Fine when you've got loads of allies, but a pain in the arse if you've only got heroes out. Again, this eliminates it. And this card really matches up nicely with Prince Imrahil, the leadership hero that we mentioned earlier, who readies every time a character leads play. This is a character leading play. So if you time this right and you commit Imrahil to the quest, he's exhausted, discard this, so that to put the progress tokens on that location, that's out the area, Imrahil's readied, so you've got him for attack or defense already. I really like this card. It's got rid of some really nasty... Anytime you can get rid of the location without having to actually travel there, you're getting through your quest quicker, you're not suffering negative travel effects. It's just good news. So, I'm a big fan of this card. And the other spirit card is Ride to Ruin. 1 cost. It's an event for the Spirit Sphere, and it's very similar to the Riddermark's Finest. Its action is to discard a Rohan ally to choose a location. Place 3 progress tokens on that location. Now there are, at the moment, almost all of the Rohan allies are a part of the Spirit deck. However, the Snowborn Scout, the brilliant 1-cost ally from the leadership deck, is Rohan, so would work with Ride to Ruin. So you can have the Snowborn Scout come out for 1 cost, he puts a progress token on any location, then for 1 cost, play Ride to Ruin, discard him, and put 3 progress tokens on a location. Now, there are very few locations that require more than 4 progress, and so between those 2 cards, the 2 resources, you just eliminated this, with never needing to go there, and the 3 progress from here, forgetting Snowborn Scout, because there are other Rohan allies, and as the expansions continue, there's more and more. You've got locations like the Mountains of Mirkwood, which have a negative travel effect, because another card is added to the staging area, but a positive when you've explored effect. And there are several of these sorts of cards, and with things like Ride to Ruin and Riddermark's Finest, you get these benefits without ever needing any of the negatives. Yes, it's 1 cost, and you have to discard an ally, but discard an ally to finish a location without ever having to go there? I mean, that seems really strong to me. Again, combines really well with Prince Imrahil, because you're discarding an ally. So he's readied again. And it does work with an earlier, quite weak Rohan card, Nor Am I a Stranger, Spirit Sphere card, sorry, which you attach to a character and gives them the Rohan trait. So if there's another cheap 1-cost ally from anywhere on the table, you attach that, gives it the Rohan trait, and you use Ride to Ruin. And that's fantastic. You've made yourself a nice, cheap, disposable ally that you can Ride to Ruin and get 3 progress on a location. The last expansion cards are for the Lore deck, and the first up is their ally, Gildor Inglorian, who, it says ally on the bottom, but at 5 cost, 3 willpower, 2 attack, 3 defense, 3 hit points, she's a hero, spelt A-L-L-Y. I mean, these stats, this this ally is amazing. She has stats that rival a lot of heroes, and of course you're paying 5 to put her out, which is the cost of Gandalf. But Gandalf turns up once. He does a lot when he turns up, but he turns up once. You put this down, you've got 4 heroes on the table. She doesn't generate resources, obviously, but three spirits, 2 attack and 3 defense. You know, you make this into a hero card, and people would take it. You know, it's a good hero, but you're not paying that high threat. I mean, this would be 11 starting threat to put this hero on the table, and instead you can pay 5 resources and you've got her down. She also has a fairly useful power as well. You can exhaust Gildor Inglorian to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, switch one of those cards with a card in your hand, then return the 3 cards to the top of your deck in any order. And this relates to when we were talking earlier about the Keen-Eyed Took sort of letting you plan your turn ahead. She really lets you plan your turn ahead. You know exactly what's coming up and in what order. And you can even get one of those cards that little bit quicker. Personally, I mean, her stats are so good that we don't tend to be able to use her action particularly much because she's either questing or defending. But we mentioned earlier Bran's ability to ready a character. I mean, she can do her questing. There's an enemy engaged with this player. Someone defends. Brand kills that enemy, and she readies and can use her ability. You know, they sync together really nicely. And the last card for the lore deck is Gildor's Council. She's in it twice. It's a 3-cost event, and it's quite specific on when you need to play it. You play during the quest phase before the characters are committed to the quest. And the action: reveal 1 less card from the encounter deck this phase to a minimum of 1. So for solo players, this is rarely going to come up because it's only in those Banks of the Anduin when it says reveal 1 more card during the questing phase this period in the second part of the quest. This card isn't going to be much use to solo players. In larger groups, you know, it can have a use. It's expensive at 3 for an event, but we found it really helpful for that last turn push where you want to finish the last quest location and you really want to minimise how many things are going to come out. This can be a good spend for 3 resources. It's a bit of a luxury card, but 1 less thing in the staging area really allows you to plan your turn ahead a bit better. You know, rather than think, how many things are going to come out? How many heroes do we need to hold back? How many allies are we going to need? How many resources do I hold back for these events? You play this event in a 2-player game, you're only looking at 1 card. It's easier to plan for 1 card, particularly if you've got Denethor in your deck, so he can have a look at that card, and Rithersong, he can have a look at this card, and you can know exactly what the 1 card is that's going to come up. So it has a use. 3-cost event, pretty expensive though. And the last card is another song. It's the Song of Travel. You attach it to a hero, it gives that hero the Spirit Resource icon, which is excellent. I think the songs are amazing, and they've opened the game up hugely to dual sphere decks. And this one allows you to make easier use of those great spirit cards, Northern Trackers, even the 1-cost events. If you've got 2 heroes generating those resources, well, I've had it where I've had my 1 resource a turn, and I've got the Hasty Stroke, cancel the shadow effect, and the Strength. No, it's not Strength. The one that allows you to cancel the when revealed effects of the cards, so stop treachery cards. I've had both of those. You've got your 1 resource. Who am I going to spend it on? What am I going to spend it on? You put this on a hero, and they can now contribute to that pool. So those are the cards. I think every sphere gets at least 1 good card. I mean, Gildor is a massive boost for the lore deck. I mean, they really needed, some meat especially after a disappointing hero in Bilbo. From a stats point of view, great for card draw, but poor stats. The Spirit deck, just you right through those locations. That's excellent. The Tactics deck, more Eagles. It does build to something at the end of the cycle, I do think, but it's hard going to get there. And the leadership, you've got an ally that matches really well with Prince Imrahil, and a decent event for a large group. I hope you've enjoyed this review. If people have talk through the cards, if you've enjoyed this, let me know. Let me know if you'd want to see me talk about the quest or different packs. Thank you very much for watching.